Friends from the Merlin Project, Paul Gersio and Dr. George Hart, will talk about what's happening in 2016, some incredible things ahead, and what's happening with the stock market and the economy. We'll take your calls at 877-4ALAN, 367-2526. I'm Alan Combs. I want to welcome to our microphones from the Merlin Project our friends Dr. George Hart, physicist, and Paul Gersio, futurist. Paul is a nationally respected futurist, been a student of both traditional and esoteric predictive systems for many, many years, more than we'll recount here. Dr. George Hart, an SDI Star Wars physicist specializing in the application of supercomputers to the mathematical modeling of systems exhibiting extremely complex behavior, and in fact, received the prestigious British Rank Prize a few years back for his work in laser technology, having invented the Excimer laser. We welcome you both back to the program. Once again, here it is 2016. Who thought we'd live this long? Dr. Hart, let's talk politics first, or where we expected to be in the beginning of 2016, the election year, or where we should be. What's going on?
This has been a very unusual, to say the least, campaign. I think going back a year, you never would have expected that Donald Trump would be in the position that he's in, nor that Hillary Clinton would be quite in the position she's in, leading, dominating, but open to assault from many different directions. The time tracks that we use using Paul's system to look at the candidates told us in advance that there was no clear leader. Nobody had really good amounts of energy or momentum going into this campaign. So it's not a surprise. The leading candidate, according to Paul's system, was really expected to be Bernie Sanders, who has really been dogging Hillary, not making this the easy coronation I think she expected.
Now, what about Hillary Clinton? Because Merlin, Paul, you've talked for years. You said it in 2008. You've said it again earlier in this cycle. You don't see Hillary as the person. Do you think she'll even get the nomination?
Oh, by the way, Dr. Hart is being too humble. I was playing with an analog version of this. That's kind of like...
You said your system, but Dr. Hart digitized the whole thing. Right, exactly.
Yeah. He made it possible to do what we're doing now, and actually to make this enabled for people like you. You're running it on your phone.
We'll get into that and how you can get there. Let's get into my question on Hillary. Yes,
Hillary. Well, back in 2006, when Hillary came out as the anointed one, she's going to be anointed, there's no problem, and then along came Barack Obama and sort of humbled Hillary a little, maybe a lot, and got himself 2 terms elected, and now we're at the same point, kind of, that we were 10 years.
Except I don't see how she doesn't get the nomination at this point.
Well, who could have seen except us? And we were laughed at by everybody, except I think you, because you know better.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, right.
Wait a minute. Nobody expected her not to be the nominee in 2008. Nobody. So we've forgotten how much she was, a given 10 years ago.
Well, what do you expect now?
Well, what's really interesting about this year is that not only are the people who are leading the charge here not the people we anticipated in either party, for that matter. I think I said to you the last time we were together on the air is that Hillary doesn't have a good time track. In fact, Bernie Sanders has the best time track of anybody running in either party. So back, I guess, close to a year ago at this point, we said Bernie is going to be burning up the track here, and again, everybody laughed.
Do you think he'll be the nominee?
I think he will be the nominee. And I think the nominee on the Republican side, and George and I were discussing this over the last 24 hours or so, is going to be Donald Trump.
You think it'll be Sanders versus Trump?
I do.
George, you see the same numbers?
Yeah, and to answer the important question, well, what could lead to Hillary slipping on a banana peel here? I don't think we're done with Benghazi yet.
God.
Well, again, we turn to time tracks, and the utility of these things are a radar.
By the way, you're not talking politically from your own political point of view. I want to be clear with our audience. You guys are looking at numbers. You're looking at Merlin. You're looking at the digitalization you put together for Merlin.
You're absolutely right. This is not, not our own opinion of what we would like to see happen. Neither one of us would like to see what's going on.
Right.
So what time tracks can do is to tell you what situations, what factors are likely to, once again, surf into public view based on their start date. Benghazi was September 11, 2012. It turns out that right in March of 2016, 1 or 2 months away from us, there'll be another burst of attention on Benghazi. In fact, leading into that right now. On the way there, we have this movie, 13 Hours, about to be released.
Where she's not even mentioned, by the way.
Not directly, and that's interesting, but if you're aware of what happened there and the whole issue of being told to stand down.
Right, but you've got conservatives wanting to use this movie.
They don't worry about conservatives wanting to do this, wanting to do that. I'm talking about the American public seeing some of these special operatives talking on TV, seeing the movie, and connecting the dots for themselves.
Right, you think that's...
And here's the key factor to think about. If you go back to 1952 to 60, we had the Supreme Allied Commander of the Allied forces in World War II who defeated Nazi Germany and the Japanese become president. Now on either side on the stage, with the exception of Jim Webb, we have people with zero connection to the military. It's one of many major gulfs that are opening up in the United States. There are still a lot of ordinary citizens that don't like Karl Rove or Roger Ailes, any of the gang, who are still very bothered by Benghazi. This movie and the hearings that are going on this week will reopen that wound. I think this may be the exit.
All right, so now we have lots to get to tonight. I want a lot of other topics to cover, but you say Bernie now versus Trump. Who wins that contest?
Bernie.
Bernie becomes the next president of the United States.
I believe so.
The United States elects a 70-something-year-old socialist as president.
Well, after Barack Obama, anything's possible. Seriously.
In the last debate, I think a lot of previous Trump supporters were dismayed by the deer in the headlights look Donald had on his face when he was asked about the nuclear triad of nuclear submarines, bombers, and ICBMs. He didn't seem to have any clue what the question was about. At some point, that lack of real background on important issues, foreign and domestic, are going to trip him up. You can just BS your way so far.
Well, it's really an amazing prediction you guys have, and you should have to be right, because you're saying, as you did last cycle, things that the average a lot of people are finally coming around and say, I think Trump's going to get it, at least a nomination. But Bernie Sanders? I mean...
Well, first of all, you have to remember something, Alan. We're talking about the Clintons here. Okay.
But they tend to
look back over the last 30 years.
But they tend to survive.
But they didn't win the last time against Barack Obama.
Well, that's true. That is true. Lots to cover. I want to get into the stock market. I want to get into who you think the upcoming political players will be. I want to give out some information about the Merlin Project. Paul Gersio, futurist. Dr. George Hart, physicist, our guest. We'll talk about what's happening with the market, what's happening with the economy. Is the implosion of the last 4 days, will it continue? Who are the other names to watch in 2016? Back in a moment.